So welcome everyone to the PaperPile workshop. My name is Anne-Marie Engelson. I am a STEM librarian here at SJSU King Library, and I am also the resident Citation Managers expert. And today we're going to be talking about PaperPile, which is a specific type of citation manager. It is a web-based Chrome integrated citation manager, and through this workshop we will walk you through the first steps of getting started all the way to adding your sources and then citing them using your either Google Docs or Microsoft Word at the end of the workshop. So let's go ahead and get started. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or you can also raise your hand or unmute, let me know that you have a question. I'm very flexible and that's totally fine. Okay, so our agenda today is I'm going to start a little bit with some benefits of citation managers, including choosing a citation manager. I think they're very similar to cars in that they all kind of do the same function, but the layout and the utilization is slightly different. And so, go with the one that you like. And then we will start talking about PaperPile. We'll start with registering for PaperPile, how you can organize your library, adding sources to PaperPile, and then citing those sources using Google Docs. And I'll talk a little bit about Microsoft Word as well. And then finally, I'll have some time at the end for questions. If you have any specific ones, if you're looking for specific types of citations or things like that, I can handle those questions at the end to make sure that you are getting what you need out of it. So let's get started. So citation managers are programs that allow the users to collect and organize and cite all their sources. Most of them also allow for some sort of collaboration through group libraries or something like that, where you can work with other people on a specific library and have access to the same citations and sources. And they also provide the ability to store and maybe even annotate PDFs within the system. Both of the citation managers that I'm doing workshops on in the upcoming weeks, Zotero and PaperPile, both have these functions, and they both work very well. So why we recommend them and why you might want to use them is to help keep things organized. This is especially important if you do research as a job, but also if you are in a research heavy field where you've got a lot of sources, you're doing a lot of work and you need to keep things organized. It's really helpful, and it's better than just having a million folders on one computer, and then when you're not at that computer, you don't have access, or just having a whole bunch of files in your Google Drive. Additionally, they often have browser extensions or integration with library software that makes it easy to collect those items. It's usually just a click or two, so that you don't have to forget about articles and you can just grab things as you see them, so that you don't forget about that paper that you saw like 10 minutes ago and you're like, oh, where was that? I wish I had that. Citation managers help you keep those. And additionally, they all have some sort of cite while you write feature that allows you to cite your sources as you're writing papers, and keeps track of things and then automatically formats them for you in Google Docs at least. And most of them, Google Docs and Microsoft Word, sometimes they have extras as well. So when it comes to choosing a citation manager, your needs are the most important, but there might be other considerations like what you have access to, if you have to pay for it, and also if you are working with other people who use a specific kind. For example, if you are a student and you work in a lab, you might go for the one that your professor is using or the PI is using, just so that you all have access to the same type of citation manager and it's easier to share things. But we do have 3 that we support through the university: Zotero, PaperPile, and RefWorks. Zotero is a desktop-based application with an online library and a browser extension. So if you have a Chromebook or you're using some sort of device that is web-based, you won't be able to use that one. It is free to everyone. It is free and open source program. It does have limited storage, but you can pay for more. And it has a write and cite integration with Word, Google Docs, and LibreOffice, which used to be OpenOffice. And it has over 9,000 different citation styles. PaperPile, which we're going to talk about today, is a web-based Chrome-specific Citation Manager. It does have an app in beta. I did download it and I have used it and it works pretty fine, but it's still not quite out of that beta phase. It is free to SJSU users, but we do pay for it as an institution. So if you graduate or you leave SJSU, you will be required to pay for it yourself. It is quite cheap, and we will talk about that in a little bit, but that is a factor. It does have unlimited storage because it uses Google Drive. And when you are using Google Drive through an institution or through an educational license like SJSU has, we have unlimited storage. If you are using it through a personal license, you're limited by your Google Drive storage. And it only has a Write and Cite integration with Google Docs that's finalized. It does have a beta version of Word at the moment. And it also has 9,000 citation styles. And we also have RoughWorks. I'm not going to cover that one because we've had it for a while, but it's also an option, although it will be phased out quite soon. So I wouldn't recommend using that at the beginning or starting that when we have other options as well. So before I move on, I do also want to mention that if you're interested in any of those other citation managers that I mentioned, we do have other workshops coming up. I do have a Getting Started with Zotero workshop tomorrow on the 19th from 4 to 5 p.m. in the library. And then I have another one next week virtually on the 27th from 12 to 1. If you would rather also look at Zotero as well, and you can register for these from our events website or from the email that you registered for this workshop from, because you probably saw that too. Okay, so let's get started with PaperPile. So registering with PaperPile is really easy, and I'm going to walk you through the steps in PaperPile itself. I do have slides that cover all of this information if you would like to reference it in the future, and also for anyone who is watching remotely or would like to look at the slides, I will have those available. But let's go ahead and see these steps. So to get started with PaperPile, all you need to do is go to the library homepage, and I will stick this link in chat for you guys so you can just open it up for you. And I'm going to start with the articles and databases icon here, and it will open up our A to Z databases list. This is where you will find our PaperPile link, and it's going to be under the P, so I'll navigate there, and then it's the first one listed, and if you click on it, it will open up PaperPile. This is what it should look like when it opens up for you. And to get started, what you'll need to do is click on the Start Trial button, and then click on Sign In with Google and follow those steps. It should be pretty easy. For me, all I had to do was click on that, and then all of a sudden it was done. But I'm going to sign in while you're doing that so that I am also in PaperPile with you. When you click on the Sign In with Google, if you have not logged into one.sjsu.edu, it will ask you to go through that process, and you will be using your Tower ID to do that. And yes, there also will be an activation link that you will receive via email. And if you have time, go ahead and go in there and find it if it sends it to you. In addition, when you sign in with Google and you start PaperPile, it will also prompt you to install a browser extension. Go ahead and do that as well, and that will make sure that you're able to add articles to your PaperPile account. And let me know if you have any difficulties with that. Once you've done that, go ahead and in the upper right-hand corner, go to the settings drop-down, the settings option, and open that up. And it should, in here, say that your site license is San Jose State University Library. Let me know if that doesn't happen, but it should. And then we'll also just double check a couple of more settings before we move on to organizing your library and working with it, just so that we have things in place so that as you're working with it, you have things all set up to your liking. So one of the things that you want to double check or enable, if you would like, is to make sure that you have Google Drive synced to your library. PaperPile will store PDFs in your Google Drive for you so that you have them available there, or you can access them through PaperPile, and they will be available to you. Again, since you have unlimited storage through SJSU, this shouldn't be a concern, but it does at least tell you how much you're using and help you with that. Additionally, I recommend that you also enable automatically download PDFs so that when you add papers to your PaperPile account, you will automatically get those PDFs and have access to them rather than having to download them separately and add them to your library yourself. If you are at all concerned about storage, you might want to maybe not do that. But again, since you have unlimited storage, that might not be a problem. We're also going to go to the browser integration section, and this gives you an idea of all of the online databases that it has like an automatic little button with. And if there's some you would like to get rid of, you can always do that. Or you can look at that. And also you'll want to enable the Google Docs plugin and then choose your preferred PDF viewer. Okay, so getting back to the settings, in the browser integration, you'll also want to make sure that your Google Docs is enabled, and you'll choose which PDF viewer you would like to use. You can have it automatically open in Google Drive for you, or they also have a viewer with annotations, which I will show you in a little bit how it works. I personally really like the viewer with annotations. It does a really good job of helping you take notes and annotate your PDFs in the PaperPile environment, and I like that a lot. So I use that, but it's up to you. And finally, I think it's really important to make sure that you have the citation style that you use the most. My field, library sciences, uses APA pretty standardly, so that's what I have as my default. But if you use something different in your studies, you can change the style here and search for all different kinds of styles and see, what you need. There's again like 9,000-ish different styles. They actually use the citation style language from Zotero. So as Zotero increases their library, so does PaperPile. So you'll be able to have all of those available to you. The 9,000 also includes various journals. So if there's a journal that you use that you submit to a lot, you can also select that as your default style. Yes, Sean.
I think I missed the preferred PDF viewer. I see the 3 options there. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so there's a viewer that they have in the PaperPile environment that you can use. I happen to really like it, and I will show it to you later to kind of show you what it looks like. And it allows you to highlight and annotate the PDFs as you're reading them, so you have notes. It also allows you to download those notes and keep them elsewhere. You can also use Google Drive as your preferred PDF viewer, and it will open up in Google Drive the PDF so that you have it there. And then finally, it will open up a PDF in whatever you have as your Chrome default, which I think for mine, it's like Adobe Acrobat or something, and it opens up in a new tab anytime I open a PDF. And that is also an option. So it's up to you how you want to use it. What I can do really quickly is just show you what that annotation environment looks like. So this is their in-house viewer. And so in here, you can highlight and put notes in and things like that. So anytime I want to read an article, I have it here, or you can have it open in any of those other places as well.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so we went over the citation styles, and for me, that's about as much of the settings that I need to set up beforehand. But if you ever wanted to, you can kind of check, any of this stuff. But this should all be fine. If you use BibTeX, you can check out this, and don't worry about the proxy access. This is automatically has you go through San Jose State University, and it helps. If you open up any kind of article through here, it'll help you kind of use the proxy to get access to it. And then it also has some export settings if that is of interest to you, but it doesn't have to be. Okay, so now that we've set all of our settings, let's talk a little bit about the organization in PaperPile. I believe that's all I had. Okay, so there are many different ways that you can organize in PaperPile. I highly recommend that you set up folders that you know you're going to use before you start adding articles to it, because it's not something that you can do on the fly when you're adding papers, and you'll have to do it afterwards. But I think it's helpful if you just kind of have it done and then you're able to organize the way that you want. And what it looks like is over here on this left-hand side, you have folders and then we have labels. Folders, I think, kind of work like folders. We understand how folders work in terms of organization, and you can create subfolders. So in order to create any folders, you would use this add a new folder icon and then just create whatever you would like. So I'm going to add a folder for an article I'm going to add later about sustainable aviation fuels, so that I have that folder anytime that I need to add a new article. I can immediately drag and drop it in there. And you can also change the color of any of these if you would like to, and you can rename things, and you can also add subfolders. So you can organize things however you would like, create what you need, and really customize as you would like. So I'm not going to add a subfolder. I think it's fine without it. In addition, you can also create labels. Labels act more like hashtags. So I recommend using these for things that might be in various folders, but help you kind of collect things based on any kind of organizational concept that you need. So for example, anything that talks about artificial intelligence, you can have a label for that. If you would like to label your articles based on the type of research they're doing, if you want something like qualitative or quantitative, if you want a label based on experimental methods or target audience or the experimental group or whatever it is, you can use all different kinds of labels and create as many as you would like. And also you can create whatever colors you would like for those to help you organize really easily. When you would like to add anything to those labels, what you would do is you would take an article. So for example, here's a special issue on artificial intelligence in agriculture. And I would grab it using the dots on the side and just drag it into the label that I would like, and it will add it to it. Same for the papers. I would just drag and drop it, and it would add it to the folders that I would like it to be in. Fairly simple. Easy peasy. And then if I ever wanted to see all of the articles for a label, I would just click on the label and it would open up all of those. Same for the folders. So anything in the folders is going to be about AI and agriculture. And then if I needed to, I can create subfolders and drag and drop things into those folders as well. Okay, so that's pretty simple organization, but let's look at a couple of other things that you can see in here. On the right-hand side, you'll notice that we have like sort and filter values. So if you would like to sort them any different way, date added, publication date, that's available. Additionally, there's also filters. So has PDFs, if you would like to find all the unsorted ones, you could do that and click on it and just see all of your unsorted papers. Additionally, if you ever have any duplicates, you will find a label here as well in the filters. I don't have any duplicates in my library, so that's not an option, but when they occur, you'll see a label that says duplicates. If you click on it, you'll be able to then resolve your duplicates and either get rid of one or merge them together so that you have just one entry rather than multiple articles in your library. You can also see things that have no PDF so that you can add them if you need to, and I will show you how to do that a little bit later, and other things as well. It's all there. I am going to go back to the main library, and then let's take a look at what you have available to you for each article. So for each entry, It does include all of the metadata, so the information about that article, including what kind of article it is, who the authors are, journal, etc. All the stuff that you would need in order to create some sort of citation will all be added automatically when you add a source here. If any of this is incorrect, you can edit it. So you would click on edit data, and then you're able to change anything in case it didn't copy over correctly. You know, technology is great and it adds value to our lives, but sometimes it messes up because it can only do as well as the input value. And if the input value is wrong, then it's going to be wrong here too. So you might need to change it. Additionally, you can on the bottom see the little, looks like a piece of paper kind of icon and a square, and that will open up the abstract so that you can read the abstract of the article. You are also able to see any notes that you have, and this can be just like basic notes like, you know, article lacks, you know, nuance or something like that. Like you can create like very small notes so that, you know, as you're looking through your information, like just really basic information to choose the articles that you would like. In addition, you will see whatever attachments that they have, including the PDFs. You can also attach other kinds of supplementary materials like data sets or figures or anything else that you need to add will also be attached here. And you will also have a link to website and then see who has cited that article as well. On the right-hand side, you'll also see a link to view PDF, and that will open up that paper in this environment, which is, or whichever one you choose. So I have it open up in PaperPile so that I can annotate it here. And there's a couple things that you can do with your papers from here. You can highlight things in various colors, you know, whatever you would like to highlight. And then I always recommend this anytime somebody's doing a lot of annotating. Anytime you highlight something, also try to re-explain or explain that information in your own words. It's kind of a little trick to help you prevent plagiarism, and gives you more of a nuanced, you know, idea of that information, you know, through your own brain. So always add in a note, and then you'll do that. And all of your annotations will show up on this left-hand side. As you go through and you annotate a lot, you also are able to open up a summary of all of your notes in another page so you can review your summary. So you don't have to scroll through and look at all of your notes in the article. And you can also export it in a PDF or whatever so that you can export that and then print out your notes and then have them with you if that is something you choose. So those are also options. You can customize colors and you can add text and notes and all kinds of things. There's a lot of different options. And then you can also search your annotation. So if you're looking for a specific note that you made, but you're unsure of where it is, you can also easily get there just by searching. I really like this environment, but Adobe Acrobat also lets you do these things, except for like kind of keeping them together. I kind of like that it looks like this. It's like a one-stop shop kind of thing. Okay.
Wait,
yeah.
Can you export them into Word?
Let me see.
And if so, how do you do it? If you,
it looks
you made
like
a bunch of notes.
Yeah, so it looks like what you could do if you wanted to is get this rich text and then copy and paste into a Word document. Otherwise, you will get a PDF.
Okay, so that's your notes right there that you would export. Is that correct?
Yeah, these are the notes that I made on the paper.
Okay, so then you go rich text then you get a rich text document, and then all of them would be in that rich text document, and then you could take all of them, put them in Word.
Yes, and then you could just copy it and then paste it into a Word document.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so that's how you would use PaperPile with all of your site sources in it. So let's move on to actually getting sources in there, because I think that's more like the most important part is like, how do we actually get those papers in? So I do have a lot of slides that you can refer to back. But in general, adding sources to your library, there's 4 different ways. You can search in PaperPile to find articles on Google Scholar, PubMed, or Archive. So it's quite limited in scope, but you can search for things. You can use the PaperPile browser extension to add sources directly to the website, from the website. You can use a PaperPile button in certain databases that are listed here and in your settings in your PaperPile account. And you can save supplementary files in any format from a web page. So I'm going to walk you through those four options very quickly. So here is my PaperPile account, and I want to add some more articles. So what I would do is the first thing that I can do is up in that upper left-hand corner, it has add papers, and it gives you options to search online. You can upload some files, import from other programs, add manually, etc. But one of the easiest things you can do is to search online. So if I was just looking for a quick article about sea otters, it's one of my go-to searches. It will open up a window like this. I hope you can see it. And it will give you lots of options, and you can search through and say, oh, that one looks good, and then add it to your library using the little plus size sign buttons on the right-hand side. Whatever searches you want to do, you can, but they're very simple. This isn't advanced searching. And also, as I said, it's very limited. It does search in Google Scholar, PubMed, and Archive. So it'll find a lot, but it's not going to find everything, and it's not going to be very targeted, and you don't have a lot of features. So if you want to do some really heavy research, I don't recommend doing this, but if you just need like a couple of articles, or you're using it as an example like I am, this is a way to get them really quickly. The second way that you can add papers to your library is through the browser extension. So I did a quick search in OneSearch for aviation and fuels, and I found this article, and it looks interesting, and I would like to add it to my library. This is not the place to add it. I would not add it from OneSearch or this environment, but rather I would click out using our full text availability links to the actual article. So this is that article in the article's website from Science Direct, because it's an Elsevier publication. And you'll notice that when I'm on this page from OneSearch, my PaperPile browser extension, which is this little P up here next to the puzzle piece extension button, it doesn't have anything with it. It's just the plain P. But if I click over to the actual article website, you'll notice that now I'm getting this green arrow. That means that it sees something to add, and it's seeing a paper. Green means go. So that is where I will actually click on PaperPile, and it says a paper was found in the current tab, and then I will add it to PaperPile, and it will add it to my library, and it will download the PDF for me. And if I click on here, it will let me view it in my PaperPile, and there is that article. I've got it. And it also grabbed the PDF for me. I also like to really quickly just look at the metadata for the article to make sure it looks correct and that they got what I needed before I move on from this website. Just for double checking, you know, just to be sure. But this all looks good for me, so we're set. Okay, so another way that you can add papers to your PaperPile account is also to just drag and drop a PDF if you have one. So I've got one kind of hanging around. Let me move some windows over. Here, this one will work. So if I wanted to add this, so I just grabbed a PDF from my desktop and I just dragged it into PaperPile environment, and it lets me upload the file. I just grabbed it, and then I just hit start upload, and it will import the file. And it says no papers imported to your library. Okay. So, oh, it's because I already have that one. Hold on, let me choose another PDF. Here, this Miller et al. That's what I had. So I'm going to add this paper, which I don't already have in my library. And I will start that upload. Here it is, and it's going to save that reference data. And oh, here it is, right at the top. So here is that article that I had as a PDF on my desktop. It found the metadata and the reference data and just put it in here for me from the PDF. So a lot of citation managers do this. It's like magic. You just have a PDF, you drop it in. It's like, oh, we see an article, and they put it in your library. So then I have the PDF and all of that information. Okay. And then finally, if you have any kind of supplementary files, so if you are looking at an article like this, and you see these figures here, you can go to right click on them, and then you can go to PaperPile and then attach linked file to whatever you're looking for. So I'm going to say add linked resource to PaperPile. I have Miller selected, which is where it will want to put it. And it looks like, where did it put it? I don't know where it stuck it. So what you should do, which I should have done, is look at the article, which is Yilmaz and at Monley, find it in PaperPile. Here it is, select it, and then go in here and PaperPile, add linked file to that citation, and there it is. Oh, there we go. Boom, we've got it. So that way I'll also have supplemental material. Okay. Do you have any questions about adding items to your PaperPile library?
I don't.
Okay. Thank you. So there are a couple of others. They're less common. So if you're importing a full library from another program, such as RefWorks or Zotero or Mendeley, you can select the import from other programs. You'll use a .ris file to get it in. You can also add things in manually. If you have something and it's not like, maybe you have it in paper or something like that, and you would like to add it in, you can create something manually as well, which helps a lot. Okay, so now that we have sources in your library, and I already showed you how to annotate them using PaperPile, let's talk about citing your sources. PaperPile integrates very well with Google Docs. It also has a Microsoft Word plugin. In order to get that plugin, you would go to your settings, and then underneath settings and workflows, it says download PaperPile for Microsoft Word, and that will add in that plugin. You also can get iOS and Android apps for PaperPile. I had the iOS one. I think it works great. And I like being able to kind of switch between my iPad and my laptop if needed. For example, when I go to conferences, I take my iPad because laptops are bulky. And then I'm able to have all of the articles that I have with me in case I need to do some work or something. And I have it on me, and I like that. So when I do want to work on citing sources in Google Docs, once you have PaperPile extension installed into your browser, it will automatically add PaperPile to Google Docs. So I do have a menu here in Google Docs, plus a little PaperPile button to insert a citation. So here's an example paper, and say I was writing whatever I'm writing, a term paper, a research paper, whatever it is, you know, it all works the same. As I am writing and I need to start inserting citations, that's when we'll start using this. So I wrote a sentence and I need to cite that sentence and add a citation. What I would do is place my cursor where I would like the citation to be, and then click on PaperPile menu and click Insert Citation. It also has a keyboard shortcut, or you can click on this menu button as well. Once I click on Insert Citation, it will ask me to search for the article. So I'm just going to grab a random one for, you know, showing you, but you would search for the article that you would like to cite, either by the author's name or by the, you know, concept. You can also search online for papers. So if you're one of those people who's like, I know this is a fact, I'm just going to write it and then I'm going to find a citation later, you can search for it and try to find that citation using Google Scholar later. And that is an option, but I'm just going to grab one from my library. And it is here. If I am working with a citation style that requires me to put in page numbers or any other kind of details, I can click on it here and use what I want, customize how I would like to. So page numbers, any other kind of modifiers that you would need, and then you can do what you need and then hit add citation, and it will add the citation. Excuse me. So it starts by adding them in as links. This will change when you're done, I promise. It looks weird as you're writing and you're like, I've got a link, this feels wrong, but I promise it changes when you get there. So I'm going to add in a couple more just to show you, more examples and also add extra stuff in. I should keep going for sea otters instead of random things. It tells you what citations you've already used, which I think is also very helpful. So you can keep track of what's already been used. And then you can add in extras. So here's another one. And then I'll do a final third one. Insert citations, sea otters, and then just one final guy in there, add citation. So once you finish writing your paper, you've added all of your citations and you need to add in your references list, then you would move down into your references list, go back to that PaperPile option and hit Format Citations. This will look through all of the ones you've already cited and it will format your final references list for you. It does take a little minute, it thinks a little bit, but here we go. Here are all of my citations. Bing, bing, boom, you're done. So when I do this, I also double check because it's a machine and I, don't trust machines that much and they're only as good as their input information. So you want to make sure that it's citing things correctly and it's using the correct format. For example, I'm like, okay, I actually might want that in italics or, this needs to be capitalized. One very common mistake that citation managers or citation generators make across the board is with APA citations specifically, the journal title, the journal article title. So the article title needs to be in sentence case. It sometimes gets that wrong. It's very common. And all you need to do to fix it is to just go in and fix it manually and it will work. No problem. If you do these changes manually, like for example, here, this D needs to be in capitals. You do have an option to change citation format or to add more citations and refresh your document and it will keep adding things. So if I go back in and I'm like, oh, I need one more citation, I can go back in, hit PaperPile again, see urchins, find an article, add that in and push it. And then I can go back in and hit Format Citations again, and it will refresh all of the citations that I did. So I might need to go back in and change that. So you'll notice that all of the changes that I made just went away. So if you do change things, I suggest that you wait until the very end before you do that, just because it will go away if you refresh it all. So you can go back in and change it. Additionally, if you go through this whole thing and you're like, oh, I used the wrong citation format, or you submit to a journal and they're like, no, thank you. And you have to submit to a different one, which does happen. You can change your citation style. So I use APA, but you can search for whatever you want. I'm going to go for MLA just because it's easy, or you could do like PLOS or Nature. I'm going to go for MLA and then just hit update. And then it should switch over for you once you click reformat document. Or you can go in here and hit format citations again, and it will redo it for you in the new citation style. There we go. There it is. Although to be fair, MLA doesn't work very well with a lot of articles, so this looks fine. Sometimes it gets weird. And if you needed to, you could always just switch right back. Update, reformat document. And we've got it. So that is how you work in Google Docs to cite while you're writing. It's pretty simple, and it works really easily. Microsoft Word works exactly the same way. They've got a button in Microsoft Word. You just keep working with it. It's same formats, all of that, and it's there. You can view all your references if you want to, and export your references if you need to. If, however, you need a citation just on the fly, you can also do that. So if I needed just to cite this article, for example, if I select it, I can click on Cite up at the top, and there's a couple of different options, but I'm just going to click Citation, and it will copy to the clipboard based on your default style. So my default is APA, so it automatically copies an APA citation in the clipboard for me. So I can just paste it wherever it needs to be. So for example, stick it at the bottom of this page. There it is. For this one, I would need to just very quickly put it into hanging indent, but it's there for me. Okay. Any questions about adding citations to your documents? Nope. Okay. So one final thing, you can collaborate in Google Docs if you are working with people who don't have PaperPile themselves. If you are working in a Google Doc with collaborators, you can ask them to install the free PaperPile sidebar in Google Docs. And I believe that is here in add-ons. You would click Get Add-ons and then search for it, and it will open up for you in this environment. So PaperPile, here it is, and then you would install it, and it would just add into the side and create an environment for people who do not have PaperPile to help add citations or anything like that, and be able to work with the citations that you have. So that is available, which I think is fantastic, because not all proprietary products allow people to interact with them, even if they don't subscribe. So I think that's pretty cool. So that's all I have for you guys today with the PaperPile workshop. If anybody has any specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you want to make sure that it can support whatever you need or anything like that, I'm happy to answer. And if not, have a great day, guys.
Thank you for the great workshop.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I look forward to reviewing it on the recording. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Sean, you have a question.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for that. It was very informative.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking about, well, two things. Is there some kind of integration with Canvas where I could pull these articles into Canvas somehow or something like that?
Not that I have seen, unfortunately. However, we do have other tools that we can use to help integrate articles into Canvas, like Leganto, that do a very great job, that I'd be happy to show you once I stop the recording.
Yeah, I still need to look into that. That would be good. And then other mechanisms like sending or emailing these articles to students, for example.
So easy. So if you want to share, for example, this article that we've got here, Evidence for Novel Marine Harmful Algal Bloom, all you would do is select the article and then go into the toolbox up at the top and click share, and you can share via link or email, or you can create a new shared folder. So if all of your students use PaperPile, you can create a shared folder for everybody to see all of the same citations. So that is an option as well. Yeah, so both things. So if you share with a link, it's there, or you can send an email. Pretty simple. So that is a way that you can use it in Canvas as well if you wanted to, but it doesn't fully integrate in the way that Leganto reading lists do for us.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Leganto.